fun little debate that we're gonna bridge the gap between the NFL and the NBA today because the NFL season, as of us recording on today, is like the real official. It's not the official first day, but it really feels like the first Sunday of actual football. So we're gonna do a little comparison here. We're also going to get into Pirtle because we didn't do it last week, so we got to get back in that. There's some mid-season tournament news that we want to jump into and some players getting some contracts. So that is going to be the gist of this NBA podcast episode. I guess, do we want to kick it all right off? Like just jump right into the NBA Wordle?
Well, yeah, no, we got to start with Pirtle to kick it off. That was a good pun. I see what you were going with there, a little
Mhm,
double entendre.
mhm, mhm.
But yeah, no, let's do it. Let's jump right into some Pirtle, backed by popular demand. Who we had so far? We got Brooke Lopez, Al Horford, and Kyrie Irving. So a bunch of stars so far, honestly. Um,
Okay, so we have it up on our YouTube page if anybody's interested and wants to
right.
see
If you
it.
want to
We've
watch the
pulled.
visual of this right now,
I I don't this is definitely the like there's probably once we see who it is, the silhouette will probably make sense
yeah, the
because
hair is very unique.
yes, the hair seems very unique. Um, I don't know who's got crazy hair in the NBA.
Well, a lot of people. I mean, I'm
Why?
trying to think. I feel like this is. Oh God, I don't want to guess it on the first time because I think I just figured it out.
Who do you think it is?
I think it's LaMelo.
LaMelo's good. I was thinking Trey Young because he's got the crazy hair too a little
Trae
bit,
Young
like
does have
up like
crazy.
that.
God, if it's LaMelo, we got to retire this,
Do we want to try LaMelo?
or just not guess silhouettes. That may be the way
You're
to do it.
honestly, the more you say it, I am
I'm
seeing
pretty
LaMelo with
convinced
the
now. Yeah, I'm
silhouette.
pretty convinced. I was like, at first, I'm like, oh, it could be a couple guys. And I'm like, wait a minute, I think it's one.
All right, fingers crossed. Can we get it on the first try?
All right, we can't do the silhouette anymore. We're too good. I mean, that's the unfortunately, what else can we do? We are too good at
Nice.
identifying NBA silhouettes. We need to make it more difficult by not getting that clue.
I guess you're right. Like, I mean,
No,
so,
I mean we have to because I gave
yeah.
it right away. Like that looked exact. I was like, wait a minute. I looked at that for not even a minute and a half, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's LaMelo Ball. Like it's
Yeah,
obvious.
that was good. That was fun. Well, yeah, we need to stop doing
It's the
silhouettes, I guess.
his hair. He's got like the Jack Harlow curls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more because when I could grow my full disclosure, I can't grow my hair like that anymore. But when I could grow my hair like that, I never got length with mine. Mine would go straight up. Like yours gets long. I've seen pictures of you with long hair. Mine just grows
We're
straight up.
getting
I have
there
an
again.
afro basically, but it's curly. It's not.
If
It's
I don't know if I've told you the whole story behind what's going on with my hair right now, but it's getting long again. And it's out of protest from my hair cutter. And so
you beef with your barber?
yeah, well, yeah, it's a salon, so we probably shouldn't say barber, but
Wait. I'm that you going to a salon in the most respectful way is not surprising at all.
listen, you know what I mean? Like I got some, I don't know. My hair grows very weird and whenever I go to a barber, if they cut it, it really just looks like they give me a bowl cut, so it just doesn't work. So I just go to a salon. I know they're going to get it right. We're good. They massage my, they do the whole thing. Like they put the minty smelling shampoo in my hair like it's a good time, But what happened was the person that was cutting my hair, she was having a baby. And so she obviously was taking some time off from work, clearly. And so she was like, let's not schedule your next appointment until I'm back. That way we can make sure like I'm not scheduling you for a time that I'm not able or not ready to be back in the salon. And I was like, okay, totally fine. That was almost 7 months ago. And she hasn't called me yet. But I know she's back working because I've seen her social media and she's posted there. So I have taken it as she doesn't want to cut my hair anymore.
Wait a minute, you just haven't even tried to hit her up in the 7 months?
Nope. She hasn't called me. She told me she was going to call me. She has not.
She had a child.
Well, I'm not
You don't
getting my
think
hair
there
cut.
are other things that may have got lost? No, in the mix there? Just nothing important going on?
I told Nicole I will not be getting a haircut until she calls me.
So you're gonna grow your hair out until she calls you. What if she never calls you?
I'm gonna be looking like Sonny. I'm gonna be, you know what I mean, Trevor Lawrence. We're gonna have some long hair going
So
on.
how long is it going? Okay, let me rephrase this in a different question. How long do you think you can get it before Nicole says, "I'm going to divorce you if you don't cut your hair"?
She's honestly not hated it so far. Again,
You can get it to Trevor Lawrence levels, I think, because especially because you're in Jacksonville.
right. Hats are my best friend right now because it is at a weird length where it doesn't look great.
I mean, your best friend for 10 seasons.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even at work, like, I'm pulling out the hats because, like, hair gel, it's at a weird length. Like, hair gel doesn't,
Yeah.
it's not working right now. But it's too short to just like let go. So the only thing that I think might get Nicole mad, I don't know, you can't see it, the hair on my neck. That I do have to do
Oh, but you
something
can do
about.
that with a razor. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
do that yourself. That's easy.
Mhm.
It's just the things you got to worry about where it just starts getting kind of nasty is like, on your sideburns, like around your ears,
And it
and
is, believe me, I've got
yeah.
headphones on right now. You can't see it, but it's getting rough. I've actually never had long hair with facial hair. So I'm interested to see how it goes. You know, all my like baby faced college photos when I looked like Justin Bieber with my long hair are going to look a little bit different now that I got facial hair. So I'm hoping it
Dude,
doesn't look as bad.
so I've gotten my hair cut once since moving back up north from
Okay.
Florida or from Orlando, and I had the shout out to my guy Nick, the same barber in Orlando for like 5 years
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I wish I could teleport and go back. Like I'm at the point where it's like I got to try out barbers again,
Yeah.
and it just sucks. Like I had it in Jacksonville, I had it in Orlando, and I don't have it. I have plenty of. I've been referred to multiple people, so like I don't. My options feel good, but man, oh man, oh man. There's nothing like that relationship with a barber when you have one that you go to every single time.
Yeah. I with that and that's why like I like this. Like it's the same thing with like getting your teeth cleaned or going to the doctor. Like that first appointment because you haven't been before is always weird, but then after that they like schedule the next one like 6 weeks out or next
Oh,
month or
dude, I don't want to. I don't want to make this all about things that I miss in Orlando. But my dentist is the same way. Like my dentist in Orlando that I have was the best that I've. It was the best dental experience I've ever had, bar none, anywhere.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
literally because I had a cleaning scheduled for October, which obviously I'm not going to.
Fly back
Um,
down.
and so it's funny, like they're so dope that they actually called me before, like, because I had said, I'm my last day of the radio. I got to say, like, hey, I'm done, I'm
I'm
moving.
leaving. Yeah.
And they actually called me and said, hey, like, we're really sad you're moving, blah, blah, blah. That's another thing where it's like, if I could teleport and go to that dentist's office, I would every single time. And if you live in Orlando and want to know what it is, tweet me, like, and I'll refer you to my barber or my dentist because both are absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. So I guess we are too good at Wordle. We're gonna have to make it a little bit harder on
No, we're
ourselves
just
so we
gonna
don't.
stop guessing the silhouette. Like that's what realistic. And I should have said that this time because we've had twice now where it's
Well,
like, yeah, we've gotten it because like at the end of the day, NBA is because there are less players than other sports. Like obviously these rosters last year not counting because of the
yeah,
pandemic and the year before that, but these rosters are 15 guys deep. There aren't many options.
right.
And
Well,
to that token, a lot of them like so you can kind of tell their headshots a little more compared to where like with NFL you got 53 guys on the roster. With NHL you have way more. I forget the exact number in NHL, but I mean I know you got 4 lines is 12 right there. You've got 6 defensemen minimum, usually more than that.
mhm, mhm.
So
Well, so what if we do this? We'll a little produce on the fly type thing, because we're trying to relate everything to going on. I know we were talking about how we're gonna compare NFL teams to NBA teams, which we're gonna do that in a second. But what if we also picked, uh, because it's just top of mind, my wife's fall decorating. What if we compared NBA teams to fall decorations? Um,
when
and
did
and
when did Halloween become Christmas?
what do you mean,
Dude, people start getting hype and dressing for Halloween now in the middle of August. Like, when did
yeah,
that happen?
dude?
Christmas now starts basically as soon as Halloween ends. Like, it flips to November 1st. People just
Mhm,
blow through fall and blow through Thanksgiving and are just on to Christmas season. It feels like at that point, all the decorations are out in
mhm,
stores.
mhm.
You'll even see it like the shopping centers, like on the light posts, for example. They put the little Christmas trees up, things like that. Halloween, I don't know when everyone just decided midway through August they were going to bail on the summertime. But it feels like that, not just the pumpkin stuff is coming back earlier, which look, you know me, I love my pumpkin stuff. I'm cool with that. I think my wonderful girlfriend, I think, is going to get me a pumpkin spice latte as we speak.
Ooh.
Um, but like, what's up? Like, when did that happen? It feels like that's
Uh,
like, I don't know if
see,
Instagram's made that happen in the last
it's
4
gotta
years,
be
but
it's gotta be social media driving that because I'll tell you what, my wife, Nicole, is very, so hyped about fall, not necessarily Halloween. She's got Halloween stuff, um, but she's got a lot of fall decorations out. Like, the second I mounted the TV on the wall, that, opened Pandora's box, and she just started decorating. Like, we have fall leaves everywhere. Pumpkin spice candles are out. We've got, towels that say, "Pick your own apples." We don't have any
Wait,
apples, so
wait, you guys live in Florida. It's not cold out. That's what's
we
like.
got
I never could get into Christmas or any. And obviously, I love those holidays. Of course, I celebrate it, but it cracks me. It was 84 degrees in Jacksonville one Christmas. You want me to celebrate with Santa's sleigh and go drink hot cocoa? Like, what are we talking about?
well, that's football season for me, right? Like chili and, like that. To me, I wanna make some chili, but I'm not gonna eat chili when it's 90 degrees
Dude, I
out.
went to a Jags game and they ran out of water. It was so hot,
Yeah,
which feels
yeah.
like a concern that they ran out of water
Well, we know what
in
happened
sunny
with the
Florida.
Jags.
But
We know what happened with the Jags in Jacksonville in general in 2001 with the, Super Bowl, so does that surprise anybody at this point? Like,
oh yeah,
it was a
well,
dumpster
no,
fire here.
you don't contribute to that national
I
narrative. You live
Listen,
there.
I will that was their fault. You put people on cruises, like, it's not gonna work. Come on.
Downtown Jacksonville was not equipped to handle a Super Bowl. That is
Right.
correct.
You shoulda just built a stadium in Nocatee and called it a day. Uh,
Jesus, see that? No, but that's the problem. We need to stop building in Nocatee. I mean, realistically, oh my God, we don't need to do this.
we're
Downtown
gonna go down a
Jacksonville
hole,
just it's
yeah.
still it bothers me. It bothers me because it should be so amazing and it's not. And that's no disrespect because there are multiple businesses that I love in downtown Jacksonville, and it is not the fault of them. It is
Yep.
just like it is such a mind-blowing cluster F of city planning that you have a whole riverfront on the St. Johns River in a beautiful climate like
Yep.
Jacksonville, and you don't have an incredible bumping downtown river walk the way that San Antonio does. Like, if Oklahoma City can have an incredible, vibrant river walk, then Jacksonville, Florida should be able to have a river
Well,
walk like that.
it feels like a lot of people can't get out of their own way, in that aspect for
Well,
Jacksonville,
now
in my
everybody's going to the
opinion.
town center. It is now
Right,
because it's now it expanded. Now that
right.
that push is not there. I mean, Riverside and all that has those areas that, but Riverside's a little bit smaller.
Mhm.
And obviously the beach has its own ways too. But it is. It's that's always been, and it's gotten a lot better from even when the time that I moved there. Like I lived in Jacksonville from August 2013 to March 2017. Justin's been there the whole time we've
I
done
was
this
gonna say, damn, you
podcast.
moved out in 2017?
2017, beginning of 2017, I moved.
We're
Dude,
getting
when
old.
I moved out of Orlando, the fact that it was 5.5 years blew my mind. Like, I was in Orlando 2 full years longer than Jacksonville, a year longer than I was in college. Like, that is
Crazy.
still a crazy, and it's crazy how quick it goes. Because I mean, that's,
Yeah.
not to get too much into it, but yeah, I mean, for 9 years living in Florida, it feels pretty wild after a month and change after living back here that it is,
Crazy
it
turn.
definitely feels far away. There's no doubt about
I
that.
feel like you are gonna have yourself a rough winter this year,
Yeah. Oh,
reacclimating to the
yeah.
cold. But that being said, the Clippers to me are pumpkin spice lattes because everybody's excited for them to come back.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, and they're really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
What are the Warriors
I
then?
think
Because
that's why.
the Warriors are Mr. Dependable. Are they the pumpkin cold
Pumpkins.
brew?
Nope, they're pumpkins.
Oh,
Pumpkins,
they just
overall
they just
pumpkins.
are. They are the
Yeah,
over
reliable. Everybody's gonna have them. They're gonna be there. It is what it is. Maybe carved, maybe not. That is what they're gonna be. You know
pumpkins
what I'm
say
saying?
Draymond said that welcome to the Warriors Invitational. Pumpkins every fall say welcome to the Pumpkin Invitational.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So if the Clippers are the latte, I think the Bucks then are the cold brew because they're just you got Giannis, they're strong. You know they're going to
Mhm.
just be dependable every single time. They're
Okay.
a real good choice to come back and take the top crown because they are the cold brew's coming for the latte a little bit. It's really good.
I want to compare an NBA team to flannel because it's gonna happen every fall. probably doesn't need to happen
Well, that would have
anymore.
been
I
the
don't feel
Warriors,
like
honestly.
no, because they're pumpkins. They're definitely going to be there. I feel like the flannel is like some people don't like them though, so it could also be a negative
Who doesn't like
take.
flannel?
I don't know. Like down here, everybody always gives me a hard time when I wear
This
flannel.
is
They're always like,
95 degrees down there, Justin. That's why.
"Yeah, but it's fall. I got to wear flannel." I feel like maybe no, not the Sixers because the Sixers have to be more of a debate.
Oh, don't give the Sixers that much credit.
That's what I mean. Like I think it's got to be a consistent team, but I don't know who I want to
Is it
assign
Miami?
flannel to. Maybe because they're underrated and some people want to hate on them or overlook them. So yeah, let's go flannel for Miami.
Yeah, I think because Boston, I mean, Boston's variance, it feels like, has been higher than Miami's. Because Boston's peaks have
Mhm.
been high, obviously, like making the finals last year. They've got a really good shot at doing it again this year. They also
Ooh.
had like a Kyrie Irving year mixed in there that was a disappointment.
I know
Um,
I know who the Memphis Grizzlies are. The Memphis
who-
Grizzlies are the Halloween trees. Because they're new. It's a new thing people are doing. It's weird, but a lot of people are into it, and it's going to be around for a while, I have a feeling. And that's
yeah,
kind
who's
of the
Apple
Grizzlies.
Cider?
Hmm.
That might be Boston. Apple Cider's really good, but if it goes bad, it's bad.
Yeah. But Boston, I don't think it's going to go bad is the problem.
Well, and Apple
Maybe
Cider
the
when it's
Lakers.
bad really isn't that bad.
Could it be the Lakers and LeBron? Like they could
No, I don't
no.
want to give them that. They're too much of a mess right now. Maybe no. You know what? Give the Celtics apple cider donuts if that makes sense because they're always really good. But if you get a bad stale one
It's
once in a
not
while
great.
or one that doesn't
Yeah.
have enough sugar, it's not that great. But I don't think that happens very often.
So then
Um,
who would the let's pick like a badder team like the Pistons or the Orlando Magic that probably won't make the playoffs. What would
yeah, but
be
they're
their
exciting at least.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like what would that be? Like hay rides? like you're excited, but then once you're on it, you're like, this is just development.
It
I'm
might
not
be.
fully
No,
in
you know
on
what?
board
You
on
know what the
this.
Sixers are? The Sixers are corn mazes because if it goes great, it's going to be the best thing ever. But if it's disappointing, it's going to be really bad. We're in the middle of it. Hay rides are a good one for the Pistons because it could be really fun.
Ooh,
Or
I got a good one for yeah. I think Hayride should be Pistons and or Orlando Magic because like it's a great concept, it's fun, but then once you're watching it, it's just development. So like you really you're really not that intrigued to watch it. Horror movies, the Nets, because it could be fucking terrible. Oh, sorry, I just
wow, Justin, tell Justin to drop a bomb on that. Okay.
it could be terrible. You know what I mean? I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
100%. No,
It could be
could go bad fast.
terrifying and it could give you nightmares. In either a good or bad way, depending on how Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving play, but it also could give you nightmares in the opposite of it could be terrible.
I feel like Phoenix is hocus pocus. It's dependable. A lot of people like it. Should be pretty good.
So then the
Um,
Mavericks can be hocus pocus too because it comes out it comes out to Disney Plus in like 20 days and everybody's going to be excited to watch it. It's new and maybe it'll be good.
what are the Nuggets? I keep trying to figure out what the Nuggets are. What's a good like Halloween
Uh,
candy?
I was gonna say candy corn, but I don't like candy corn. But
I don't
the
feel like a
can
lot of people don't like candy
yeah,
corn.
candy corn needs to be more of a controversial team,
Oh, who's gonna
honestly.
stink this year? That's who candy corn is.
The Thunder
I think like the
or the
Thunder,
Jazz,
the
the
Spurs,
Jazz.
the Jazz.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Spurs, yeah. The Spurs though, the Spurs need to be something that's gonna stink this year, but like only stink this year because in the past they were great and everybody liked them. You know what I mean? Like,
But you don't think that's all of those teams right now?
no, I think it is. I think you're
I
right.
mean, the Thunder, I would argue, are going to be the Thunder. If everybody's healthy, should be a lot to be better next year, just off getting Chet back. I mean, they've already got Gilgeous Alexander. Like they're more
See,
complete of
I
those
think
three teams. They're more complete, in my opinion,
the
than San
Thunder
Antonio and the Jazz are.
the Thunder to me needed to be something for Halloween or fall that you were really excited for. And then once it happens, you realize it's not that great because they have injuries. So like we were really excited to see it and now they're not gonna have it. So like we're not as excited.
Maybe that's like carving a jack-o'-lantern. It just never ends
Yeah.
up as good as you think it does.
Yeah. Or like pumpkin seeds, like roasted pumpkin seeds. Like you get really excited. It's a lot of work for really not that great product,
Yeah, yeah, you're not
you know?
wrong.
So maybe
Um,
that's it.
Anything pumpkin, by the way, send it our way. We will take those in donations. We're not going to dive deep into the NFL thing because that was a good pivot and I like that quick. But since NFL is kicking off, I will ask you. I'll put you on the spot. Who do you think is winning the Super Bowl this year?
Oh boy, probably the Bills. Honestly, after watching the Thursday game, you
I'm
know,
inclined.
they just look like kind of a lock to get it, in my
I mean,
opinion.
so the Bills are going to have a target on their back all year. I kind of
Yeah,
think it's their, which would be great because I mean, obviously, first franchise in Buffalo history, losing 4 straight Super Bowls is one of the cruelest things ever. That would be super, great for the Mafia. Other teams, I mean, the NFC is really weak. I think the AFC is better by far. The
from
Chargers are
a
really good. The Chiefs are going to be good
well,
again.
and not to get too homerish for the Jags, but from a Jags homer standpoint, the Bills kind of hit reset 2 years before the Jags did. And we base a lot of comparisons off of them with the Jags because they played in 2018 and beat the Bills, which then started the Bills reset. So if the Jags are 2 years behind that in a way, that would be kind of dope. You know what I
Well, it
mean?
just depends on the quarterback. I mean, Josh
Right.
Allen, when he developed, Josh
Trevor
Allen
Lawrence.
was a little
Yeah.
raw when he got picked, but when he developed, it just ended up being the guy that he is now,
And
where it's like
maybe
you get that
Trevor does
franchise
it.
quarterback. Yeah, if Trevor Lawrence does that too, then everything will change there.
Hmm.
I'm inclined to go Bills as well. I think I said I was on our friend pal Chase Bunker's pod this week, and I said Bills versus Bucks in the Super Bowl, and I had the Bills winning. So I'm inclined to go that direction as well. Welcome everybody to the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rayfuse. Joining me as always, my co-host Justin Kuzart.
I suck.
That's fine. You look like you were about to have an NFL something. So go ahead. Finish your NFL thought?
I don't actually. Oh no, Brent. My coworker was trolling people, and he said that he thinks the Bucks don't make the playoffs, and that the Cowboys are the best in the division that they are in. So you
I
can.
mean, that's not the Cowboys. As much as I don't like them being the best in the division,
Mm,
is not that ridiculous of a take. Like the NFC East stinks outside of the Eagles and the Cowboys, and even the Eagles and the Cowboys. Like you could argue that both of those squads are very average. Now, I'm high on my Eagles this year because I think the roster is really good. It just depends on what Jalen Hurts is going to do. If Jalen
mm-hmm.
Hurts takes the steps, I think we can beat anybody. I think they do have some concerns, namely in the secondary, not at corner, more at safety.
Yeah.
And their linebackers are a little suspect as well. But I think the Eagles should hopefully be winning the NFC East this year. The Cowboys just have injuries. That's the biggest thing too. Is like with Tyron Smith going down, that's a big loss for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I just never trust anything the Cowboys do, in my opinion. So that's just where I'm at. And I feel like I am tainted. I know I'm not an Eagles fan, but growing up in Philly, I was kind of raised to not like the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, well, dude, you're a Washington fan. Like you don't like the Cowboys either way.
But
Like,
even then, like I've kind of lost that connection to Washington. I've been telling people this. Like I do still like rooting for Washington, but ever since 2018, there's been a weird pivot of caring about the Jags more than any team, just because I'm here. They're the home team. I did a
yeah,
sports show where I talked about them every day for 2.5 years. Like I just kind of have worked myself into caring about the Jags more than any other NFL team right now.
well, I'm also just not saying this because I'm an Eagles fan, but like Washington is just not a very likable franchise across the board. Like they
They've
haven't really been
never
great.
I've only ever seen him in the playoffs once, and Sean Alexander beat us. So,
Oh, he was
that's
great that year. You got the Seahawks all the way to the Super Bowl. I wouldn't even take a
I know.
knock on that one. It was dope.
No, I'm not, but
Uh,
that's the only time I've seen them in important, you know what I mean? Like playoff football. Like and that was like how many years ago? So I've kind of
yeah,
lost
a
that
while.
connection. In 2018, getting to be like in the home stadium with the Jags, rooting for the Jags, like the momentum and talking about them all the time. I just kind of pivoted. It's where it's at.
We're talking about the Jags, baby. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We'll read them on the podcast. If you are not an Apple user, Stitcher, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, Amazon Music, anywhere you find a podcast, you can find us.
And if you are interested in following the video version of the podcast, we have a video version where you can communicate with us, hang out with us, do whatever you want. Drive and Dish NBA podcast on YouTube. Looking for subscriber number 49. We would appreciate the follow and the hangout. We premiere the videos there, so you can leave your comments as they're going, and we can react to them in the next video, or obviously just hit us up on social media. We'll handle it from there as well.
And now a word from our sponsors.
So let's talk about this mid-season tournament announcement. it doesn't seem like it's being received very well. The NBA submitted a plan for an in-season tournament, which could actually start the 23-24 season. The tweet said that games would be played throughout November with the top 8 teams advancing to the final by single elimination. All games would be counted into the calendar 82 games of the regular season. But to that, since that's come out, DeMar DeRozan said he's old school and doesn't really like it. Mark Cuban says he doesn't really want to do it unless he's winning the Larry O'Brien trophy as the prize. Like, so I get where the guys are coming from. And I feel like anytime there's something new, there's always going to be a little bit of pushback. But from a fan perspective, in my opinion, if it gives us games that are played with high intensity, then I'm in.
Well, and so here's my thought with this. If teams want to treat it differently and that if the Larry O'Brien is still their goal and they don't take the midseason tournament as seriously, then that's fine because I think
Mhm.
there are teams that are going to take it seriously, like specifically those younger cores who are maybe out to prove something. Like this is a
Or get
situation
that
where
experience, get that playoff
right.
atmosphere experience.
Like teams are going to have more intensity, obviously, to winning the NBA finals and winning the Larry O'Brien trophy. Like that is always going to be the number one goal in the NBA, but like you can have it. And I think maybe getting into soccer in the past few years has kind of helped in this regard. You can have other tournaments and still gain some satisfaction out of winning them, even if they're not, in soccer, for example, like with England, you have the Premier League and, you have the Champions League and try to win Champions of Europe. Like those are the two big ones that everyone wants. But you also have the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. And it's like you can win those and still take some satisfaction out of it and just not have your season be a net failure
It
based on
gives
the winning that and not. Like I think that teams are going to, again, take it to different degrees of seriousness. You know what I mean?
right.
I think there are some who may just not care and may try to get themselves out of that. That's fine. It's not the end of the world because they're going to still be playing regular season games. Like I'll break down this format here in a little bit. Um, but it doesn't really, it doesn't taint the product a little bit for the teams that do want to play hard and go for this. Like, why not have meaningful basketball?
For like, say we already kind of talked about them when we were comparing things to, the fall stuff. Like, why not have a tournament that the Pistons and Orlando Magic can go in and want to compete in and play at a high level so that they can say, look, our young core won said mid-season tournament. We're ready to start making that push to the next. And from like potentially marketing your team to a bigger star or vet players that might want to come to your team, if that could be a good arguing point if you're trying to pitch your team to somebody like, hey, we won this midseason tournament. We're able to lock it in. We're ready to go. We just need a little more direction from your veteran presence. Let's make a run at the Larry O'Brien trophy now.
Well,
Like it does make a fun pitch.
and one of the bigger complaints with NBA fans in general, in my opinion, in the last few years has been that the regular season, specifically early on, has just been kind of meaningless. Like you have a lot of
Yeah.
people who say the NBA regular season doesn't matter until after January. Well, this is a real quick way to make it matter to get people engaged, just to keep eyes on the NBA all season long, like not
It
just from that, January to June period as we're getting into
it
the
it
playoffs.
it doesn't matter, just like the points in whose line is it anyway?
It's just I don't see any downside. Like I get why people and look, if the Mavericks don't want
Yeah.
to take it seriously because they feel that they
Well,
have bigger goals, so be it. Like I understand
because
what Mark Cuban's saying, but
Because think about it from Mark Cuban's standpoint, DeMar DeRozan's standpoint, or even just say like say the Bucks standpoint. You're in this tournament and you're pushing hard to win whatever the trophy's called or the name or whatever, and Giannis gets hurt, and then you can't actually make a run at the playoffs and win the Larry O'Brien trophy. Like I get why
it could
the
happen
bigger name teams
anyway,
would
though.
want that. You're
And,
right. You're
and
not wrong. Yeah.
and they're going to be playing regular season games, so that's the thing is like if they took on extra games, then I think it would be different. But if they're going to be playing, if this is all within the course of the regular season, so the framework, and this is from Shams, and for the record, like this is not going to start this upcoming season. Like we probably
No.
won't see this until next 2023,
Yeah.
2024 at the earliest, but there is a chance that it is ready to go. Basically, these cup games would happen through November. 8 teams would advance to single elimination final in December. The other 22 would continue with the regular season. all the games are part of a normal 82 game schedule. There'd be one extra game for the two finals teams. And at that point, if you're playing for the midseason final, I don't think you have a problem with having that extra game, especially like you said with single elimination. If you're a non-playoff team or a play-in game team who probably realistically isn't going to go that far in the NBA playoffs, like that extra game may not make a difference, but it may make a huge difference in terms of habits, in terms of confidence, in terms of chemistry. Like, I think guys are going to be a little bit in the sense that, because I think you said it, when something is new, there's always that initial pushback to it, right?
Of course, of
Um,
course.
I think that as this goes on, it's going to be a huge success for the NBA. Like, I'm really into this idea, and I think it would revolutionize the NBA season. And I think them fitting it in the framework of the 82 game season so that it does add a little incentive because you're not getting extra on top of it. Maybe that encourages vets to play a little more and be interested in it.
How
I think it's a
cool.
really smart move by the league.
I know, and this might be getting ahead of myself, but what if they did like every 30 game period turned in after that was like a 10 game, probably not even 10 game, but if it's single elimination, whatever it is, a tournament. Every 30 games leads into a tournament. So there's 2 trophies, and then at the end, after they're at 60 games, the last 20 games are leading up to the playoffs and jockeying for position in the playoffs. Then every 30 games are leading to something more important potentially. I understand, like we just talked about, there'll be certain teams that don't care about that because they're in it for the long haul. But it could make it more exciting. And then in between that, there's an all-star game at some point. It seems like the momentum wise from the NBA in things that people would be talking about, storylines would be, it would just be always going. Now, I wonder if it is in November, do you think they try to go for some Thanksgiving Day games? They try to Thanksgiving and they try to compete with NFL at all?
I know, because the way the tournament is scheduled, the important games or the meaningful games would be in December. So if it's
Okay.
just jockeying for position
Yeah,
regular season, I mean, here's the thing: like the NFL is the king. We know this as
right,
much as I love
right.
the
That's
NBA.
why I
Like
was wondering.
they perpetually dominate ratings. No, but the only reason I wouldn't want to is I do worry about oversaturation then, and I would worry about guys being more inclined because it just waters down the product a little bit. Like if there's
Yeah,
one mid-season tournament, then I think you could maybe get somebody that is more inclined to go for it. Like
yeah.
DeMar DeRozan is interesting here, and because DeMar DeRozan's a guy who I don't think his career should be just defined on the playoffs, because he's had plenty of success in this league on multiple teams now. And I feel like that's a way to almost showcase how good he's been, like winning those midseason tournaments. Like people do, for better or for worse, they remember those moments.
It
Um,
will, now that you say that though, it'll make it hard to go back. Like, let's say they implement this, right? And 20 years down the line, we're talking about blank NBA player, and you're like, this guy, he's better than Kobe. Let's just say Kobe. He's better than Kobe was because he's this and this, and he's won this midseason tournament 4 times. Well, it's like, how can you compare that to Kobe in that aspect? Because he didn't have a midseason tournament. So from a narrative and being able to debate like NBA Twitter loves to do, players and historic players, like it's going to give more arguing points to the newer players, but it'll be hard to compare that to what past
yeah,
people have done. It's not a knock against it. I'm just gonna I can just see where that's going now, you know?
oh, yeah, but I mean, I think you would have people back in the day who did that with the three-point
Right.
line. I think you have
Right.
that with stylistic changes. Like people are going to just find ways to debate that anyway. But
Sure.
yeah, I'm not going to knock older guys for not having a tournament. That's not going to, a
No,
mid-season
but
tournament's
I
going to take
think
away.
what I'm saying is it'll give points to a newer player that they wanna be able to justify is better than whoever, like, you'll be able to do that with a tournament. It gives you a new measuring stick, essentially, to be able to put out there comparing other players, you know?
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I mean, so so obviously I'm super pro this overall. Like I guess where are you at on a 1 to 10
Mm.
in terms of this idea? I guess if you're going to give it a number, where do you think you're at?
From our NBA podcast standpoint, I'm at a 10. It gives us because like we get in the middle of the season and it starts being like, all right, this is redundant. It's feeling repetitive and things we're talking about. Like, let's get something exciting to go. Because like really, what are we talking about in the middle of the season other than maybe like lead up to the All-Star game? We're talking about positions and potential trade deadline stuff, but that's about it. Like we're not really gearing up for the next. playoff thing, where if there's a tournament there, that's a lot of fun to start debating. How is the tournament going to lay out? Who do you want to play? We almost have that playoffs conversation halfway through the season.
So I think it's a 10 from the NBA fan standpoint
Yeah.
and a 10 from the podcasting standpoint. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I say all the time, my least favorite episodes are the first two after the season starts. Like when we start the new season of our podcast, because I just like, what am I going to take away after a week of the season? Like you can recap some games, but realistically, there's just it's hard to have any big takeaways. It's hard to have any like you just don't want to overreact. Everything feels like a hot take. I think once you get to the middle of the season, it's fine. Like I think once you especially get closer and closer to Christmas, it really picks up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think in the summertime, I mean, honestly, like obviously, I think everyone who's as we're 35 minutes into this episode who's been listening to this one knows that there's not a lot going on. We're kind of, I mean, thank God, honestly, they had this mid-season tournament news because you and I were joking. Like, there's not a lot happening right now.
We didn't want to have to do a whole episode where we compared NBA teams to pumpkin spice lattes.
I know, and God, we would have really had to make Pirtle work then because it was that one guest when it worked. Not great. We didn't have anything to talk about, but no, I genuinely, I'm really excited about this. I think it motivates again some of the kind of the on the bubble teams, the play-in teams. Like, and it doesn't take away from the finals. You're still going to get those 7-game showdowns. Like you're going to get a Warriors Celtics caliber series potentially because these are single games. Like you can have the intensity of single games. We obviously see that work in the NFL all the time. We saw that work in the bubble at some points. We've seen success with it with the play-in game.
I wonder
how fun that can be, but it doesn't take away from the 7-game series and the just magnitude of winning an NBA finals.
It would be cool if, I don't know if this would happen, but think about this, because the G League is now involved, obviously, with the NBA, and you can call guys up and do all that stuff. What if, like, say, a Bucks is going into this tournament and they don't really care about winning, but they want the development? So they sit Giannis and they call up a few guys to play in the tournament. You know what I mean? And you run a young core out there to try to develop that talent. I really like that. I'm intrigued by that because then you could get some no-name guy, no offense to the G League guy, but you could get some no-name guy that comes in and drops a 40 bomb and the whole NBA goes crazy. Like that's
you get
their
a contract
time to shine.
off it. Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, I would, to that token, at that point, I wouldn't even call people up. I would say and maybe this happens eventually. Maybe you have a scenario where you just straight up invite the G League teams and you have them play.
Top 2 teams in the league at that point get to play in the tournament against the NBA guys. I mean, talent-wise, they're
you have some pre-filtering for sure. Yeah. You have some pre-filtering where you have the G League team, like better G League teams work themselves out, but
what if you created a G League All-Star team? Like everybody
you have the Ignite already with the prospects, so that's like that's one way too. You could be developmental. I would do a G League All-Star team.
I would be about that.
Absolutely.
I would be about that. I think that would be really cool. And if you wanted to do like maybe you invite it to like the Euro leagues and you let them put together an all-star team. I know there's kind of some crossover there, but maybe like, the Chinese league, like let them put together a team and maybe like, you submit a few other teams into this tournament too, create some fun. I don't know. It could be some really good exposure worldwide for players, and I could see like could be some guys that get a heavy payday just off that tournament if that's how they do
100%. Guys that play themselves onto rosters because of that tournament. I mean, that's the ultimate goal of the G League, right? All right, who's balling, who's falling? Our NBA version of the stock market. We always like to start with the good before the bad. Justin actually kind of segued me nicely into my ball in this week, and that is Eurobasket, which is going on right now. A lot of great games. About to be in the quarterfinals. So Germany has advanced. They beat Montenegro. They're going to play the winner of Greece and Czech, which is later today. Spain is in the quarters. They beat Lithuania. They're going to play the winner of Finland and Croatia. Slovenia, led by Luka, of course, has moved on. They beat Belgium. Poland beat Ukraine. So Slovenia will face Poland in one matchup. France and Turkey, the craziest game by far. Rudy Gobert, obviously, over there leading the way for France. They have moved on to the quarters, and they will play the winner of Serbia and Italy. So 3 spots still up for grabs in those quarterfinals. Been a really fun tournament. Obviously, a lot of NBA talent over there. Jokic is playing, among others. Giannis is playing for Greece, of course. There was a little bit of injury worry. It looked like he rolled his ankle there a little bit. He still seems to be going though. Again, they're tipping off later today against Czech, but but a good summer, kind of appetizer a little bit.
For if you are into the NBA, why wouldn't you be excited about it? It's something to watch, something to get involved in, a good debating point if you want to watch it. I mean, you just get some NBA basketball, or I should say basketball in general, and that's the fun part of the whole thing. You obviously don't want to see any injuries, and so that was scary, but everybody's good, so we're ready to roll.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, who's balling for you?
Ballin' for me is this guy on Reddit who is getting a little bit dragged right now by JIGP1112. I'm gonna give him credit because he did a whole photo thing. Where he did with the season coming soon, here's the NBA character alignment chart. Okay. I'm gonna pull it up for you. You can't really see the bottom one, but that's Kyrie Irving, and that bottom one says chaotic evil. So they have Giannis as the lawful good. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh no, I 100% agree with that. Giannis is definitely lawful good for sure. Everybody loves Giannis.
Yep. The LeBron James as the lawful neutral. Do you agree with that?
That's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I like how Kawhi is the true neutral because he literally is.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong.
I don't know about. I mean, I'm as a Sixers fan, I'm for it. Ben Simmons got the lawful evil. I don't know if he even really technically deserves to be on this right now, if I'm being honest with you.
There's got to be somebody, right? Somebody who's playing basketball. I mean, he's definitely
Right.
evil for sure. I don't know if it's lawful.
Right. So then Curry is the neutral good. Kevin Durant is the neutral evil.
I feel like KD should maybe be the lawful evil, right?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, the lawful evil sound like to me, like if you're
Who
a
else
lawful
is a villain?
Is there really a third villain? Like KD's obviously always been pinned as the villain. He talks about that all the
I
time.
would have said it was Embiid back in the day. Embiid's kind of chilled out on the social media front.
Butler was there at one point, but he's the chaotic neutral
no,
now.
But you got to love Jimmy though. That's the thing, and that's why he's neutral. I'm fine with Jimmy being the chaotic neutral because you have to love him.
I'm trying to think if anybody could be an evil. Like I don't know who you would. I don't feel like there's any other player that people don't like.
It's not Jokic. It's not like I'm trying to think of the mega stars. It's not like Paul George. It's not Dame.
No.
Too many people like Dame. I mean, is it Ja Morant? Like, but people like Ja Morant.
Like, honestly, I would have put Ja Morant probably over Anthony Edwards as the chaotic good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could have put Anthony Edwards as the lawful evil, and I would have loved it. But people love Anthony Edwards though. That's the thing. Is like I love the kid. He talks a ton of smack. But so does Ja Morant.
Maybe
oh, where's Draymond? You maybe put Draymond.
Draymond.
You should put Draymond. No, KD should be Dre should be the neutral evil, and I feel like KD should be the lawful evil.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with that. But I guess he's not trying to double up on teams. Like, well, actually, that's wrong. He's got 3 Nets players.
Kyrie's definitely the chaotic evil. That's not a doubt. Kyrie is a lock. Maybe you could put Harden there too. Honestly,
yeah.
Harden forced his way out of Brooklyn. Harden forced his way out of Houston.
I feel like you could say Embiid as the lawful evil because I feel like a lot of people hate him if you're not a Sixers fan. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So you could probably put Embiid there too.
Yeah,
but either way, this was a lot of work and just absolutely getting destroyed on social media. But lawful evil as one of the comments should be CP3.
It's not bad. That's not bad actually, because I think more people dislike CP. Actually, yeah, that's probably a good one. That's right. I agree. And then
the comment under it is honestly surprised Embiid isn't chaotic good, which actually probably describes his game pretty well. So.
Chaotic good is up there for sure. I mean, because he is like he's got a lot of, and Anthony Edwards have a lot of similarities. Both obviously big personalities.
So there it is.
No, I like that a lot. Actually, I don't know where you were going when you start naming random people on Reddit, but
right. So we'll transition to my fallen though, which is for a a player that we used to talk about all the time at the beginning of this podcast, Swaggy P. He was in a celebrity boxing match the other night with a social media influencer, as at least the article described him, Minicon. I believe is the name. I'm not familiar. But
I have no idea.
Swaggy taking the L. The knockout didn't look like it was that bad. Swaggy was trying to argue that he got headbutted like in the face. Regardless, the fact that he like wasn't going to fight anymore means he gets the L. But at least from the articles, they're talking about how it was a very entertaining fight, better than they saw on most of the UFC card that night. So, you know, shout out to him. I know Nick Young was talking about fighting some other guys, and so here we are.
You know, when we were talking about like earlier, how we said, when did Halloween become the new Christmas? When did UFC just become on every week? Like, I remember when UFC
Yeah.
was like a once a month
Oh,
event. It's
dude. Well,
on
that's
every week now.
once they got the deal with ESPN, that was
It's on
guaranteed.
all the time,
Yeah.
and they're the big
Yeah.
fighters. It's not even like it's somebody random. But yeah, like Nick Young, it needs to leave D'Angelo Russell alone, though. I kind of agree. Like that whole situation is just continues to get ridiculous.
I'm surprised
I
it's
kind of
still
like how
going
D'Lo
on.
responded. It's
To be
like,
fair, if you are a new listener to the podcast, you don't know what happened, you'll have to go back and look. Swaggy was dating Iggy Azalea, and they broke up, and he was involved. Like, it's a whole thing.
yeah, D'Angelo Russell definitely like broke code and sold them out a little bit for sure. But also, like Nick Young, you're reaping the consequences of your actions, bud. Like you were wrong here.
Like,
Like,
yeah, it's on you. You did this
yeah,
anyway. So,
like
like, what do you want?
right. Like it was gonna happen at some point. I don't have actually a fallen this week. I have two ballins. I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but I'm gonna mention the Hall of Fame class just because they had their enshrinement ceremony officially. So shout out to everybody. I mean, the big highlights from the NBA, of course, are Manu Ginobili and Tim
Yep.
Hardaway.
Yep.
So of course they got their speech, they got their orange jackets along with everybody else. So always a fun ceremony at the Basketball Hall of Fame.
I haven't watched it, but a lot of people were posting about Ginobili's speech. So I'll probably end up watching that later today while football's going on, like in a commercial break or something.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea how long it was, but definitely watch in increments, no doubt about
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
All right, so a couple quick hitters here, one or two contracts that we wanted to talk about real quick. Just the first one is Maxi Kleber going back to Dallas, 3 years, $33 million. He was entering the final deal of his year this year.
Which, by the way, when it first came out, NBA.com's article said that per team policy, terms of the deal were not disclosed. And I was like, do the Mavericks have like a policy that they don't talk about the deals? And then like every other article was like, it's 33 million. And I was like, okay, so somehow it got out. I don't understand. So, but I was trying to look that up to see if like it was a Mark Cuban thing. Like we don't disclose contract negotiations or whatever, but I don't know.
Yeah, that would be kind of random. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, Cleveland played a ton of great minutes for them last year. 7 points a game.
I mean,
he's
notably was game 2 versus Utah when he hit the 8 3-pointers, which
yes,
probably is what a lot of this is. I was reading about him a little bit, and the best way I saw it described in a few articles, like he's the type of role player that can swing you a playoff game, and that's probably why you pay him. Like he can swing you a playoff game, and that's why you want him.
Well, like you said, I mean, 25 points against Utah. He also had games, 17 and 10. When Luka was out, he stepped up. He had 19 points against Phoenix, 14, another game with 14 against Phoenix. One of the games against the Warriors, he had 13. So yeah, he's one of those bench guys who can step up. He shows that you can play him in meaningful games. And also in terms of the contract, like year-wise, like Kleber's 30 years old. You get the 3-year deals on it. So obviously, like you lock up realistically the last of his guaranteed productive
Pretty
years
much,
almost,
yeah.
if that makes sense. And so, again, he obviously gels well with Luka. So yeah, going forward, bringing him back, I think this makes a ton of sense for Dallas.
And then the other one was Montrezl Harrell, a 2-year, $5.2 million contract for the 76ers. I don't hate it because we need a little bit of depth there. Obviously, he won 6th Man of the Year in the 1920 season under Rivers. Career high that year, 18 points, 7 rebounds, a block, 27 minutes. Everybody goes back to how Rivers kind of mishandled the position in the playoffs that year with him and Zubac. So that makes me a little worried because I swear to God, if we get to the playoffs and we have that narrative going on, I get it. It's like a backup situation and Embiid's already there, but holy hell, I'll be so upset.
Well, it goes back to because it is. That's my word. And I'm with you. So, first off, what a just wild offseason for Montrezl Harrell, who more than likely, I mean, so he was initially arrested in Kentucky on felony marijuana trafficking charges. That got pled down to misdemeanor because he's saying he's like, it's mine, it's my weed. Um, and so because of that, I mean, he quite literally would have probably not had a contract. So obviously,
Yeah.
that's a huge break for him there on that front to get this a 2-year minimum contract. I like it more than I don't like it. So in the regular season, I think Harrell is going to be a great spot starter for Embiid if Embiid misses games. I think that'll be huge to have that depth with him and Paul Reed and not just have it be one big. To your point, though, Harrell's kind of bounced around these past few years. He's been borderline unplayable in the times in playoffs. And I do because I watched it with DeAndre Jordan initially last year where the whole thing was give Paul Reed the minutes, and it looks like Paul Reed is finally ready to get the main backup center minutes behind Embiid this year, and you bring Harrell in. Now, I do think he adds a little bit of toughness to the roster, something that they clearly tried to do this offseason. And again, for the regular season, I think it brings a lot of benefit. My worry is what yours is, that if he's not playing well in the playoffs, like Doc Rivers
What
needs
are
to
we
bail
doing?
on it and be ready to go to Paul Reed. But no, bringing him in for depth purposes, I don't think there's on a minimum contract. I don't think you have anything to lose. Like just as long as they are smart about the rotations. But again, that's always going to be a Doc Rivers concern with me. Like that's not just because of Montrezl Harrell. That's because of everybody.
Yeah, I agree. So, it does feel like I don't know if it's a homer vibe, but it feels like Doc Rivers and the Sixers are going with players that they're familiar with from like previously coaching, stuff like that. Um, and I like that to an extent. Like you said, I like it because if you're familiar with the guy, they're the dogs. They're going to be able to like put that grit that the Sixers need. But at the same time, we didn't see them go the full distance in that scenario or those scenarios either. So that makes me a little bit worried as well. I know it's not the same team, but that's kind of something that I've always thought like, all right, I like it, but like, is it an old habit type thing? You're going with this guy because it's what you know.
Well, it's a joke for the whole roster, right? How many ex-Rockets are on this
That's what I
team right
mean.
now?
That's
I
what I
mean,
mean.
the
Yeah.
offseason is PJ Tucker and Daniel House. It's like we're running, just get Chris Paul and we got the whole gang back together.
Exactly. So that part makes me a little worried. But either way, it'll be fun. I'm excited for this season. I'm excited for football season. My TV is mounted, so we're ready to watch some sports.
Justin's big project is his TV is successfully mounted. If you follow him on Instagram, you follow Justin on Instagram and Twitter at Justin C on the air. You could see his successful mounting and all the quote unquote fall vibes that are going on now. Thank you everybody for listening to this episode of the Driving Dish NBA podcast. We appreciate you guys. We know it was kind of all over the place this episode. Look, that's just the way the news is breaking right now. But we, again, appreciate you guys as always. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We will read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Stitcher, anywhere you find a podcast, you can find us.
Yep, and find us on YouTube. Just search Driving Dish NBA. It's a video version of the podcast. Trying to do a little more there. Just got some busy schedules, so eventually we'll get to it. But you can be a part of it. Obviously, follow us. You could be subscriber number 49.